Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. If you're new, hit that subscribe button and ring the bell because summer 2025 was anything but sunny for some folks. I'm diving into the scariest true stories that blew up online this year. Real accounts from people who faced things that turned their summer vibes into nightmares. We're talking paranormal encounters in the woods, ghostly figures at festivals, and wildlife attacks that felt straight out of a horror movie. These aren't campfire tales. They're first-hand experiences shared on Reddit, YouTube, and podcasts, backed by news reports. I was 28, chilling in my apartment, when I stumbled across these stories, and they've stuck with me. Grab a drink, dim the lights, and let's get into the scariest true stories from this summer. Summer 2025 kicked off with a wave of creepy reports from outdoor events, like the Windy City Paranormal Festival in Chicago. Attendees were there for ghost hunts, but they got more than they bargained for. One group shared on Reddit how their EVP session picked up whispers saying their names, even though no one else was around. The air turned heavy, humid summer night or not, and their flashlights started flickering. By the end of the festival, people were posting about shadowy figures caught on camera standing just outside the firelight. It wasn't just one-off stories. Multiple groups reported the same chilling vibe, like something was drawn to the crowds. That set the tone for a summer where the line between fun and fear blurred fast. Things got creepier in the backwoods. On Reddit's True Scary Stories, a camper in rural Michigan shared a story from July that went viral. They were hiking with friends when they heard guttural howls that sounded human but wrong, echoing through the trees. At night, their tent was slashed, and they caught glimpses of an antlered shadow moving too fast to be human. The air smelled like sulfur, and claw marks appeared on nearby trees, not matching any animal. They fled at dawn, but the story spread, with others claiming similar Wendigo-like encounters across the Midwest. The isolation of summer camping, with its long, humid nights, seemed to wake something ancient in those woods. Nature turned predator in summer 2025, with wildlife attacks spiking. News outlets like UPI reported grizzly bear incidents in Alaska, where a fishing group was charged by a massive bear that seemed unnaturally aggressive. One survivor said it reared up on the shore, eyes glowing in the sunset like it was driven by something more than hunger. They barely escaped by a boat, but their gear was shredded and the trauma lingered. Similar stories popped up. Bears invading campsites driven by food scarcity from wildfires, acting like they were possessed. These real-life encounters felt like horror movies, blending primal fear with whispers of something supernatural pushing the animals. The summer heat seemed to stir up old ghosts too. At the Ohio State Reformatory, a historic prison turned paranormal hotspot, ghost hunts in June and July were wild. Participants posted on X about hearing screams through their EVP devices, naming people in their group. One Reddit user described a session where a spirit seemed to possess their EMF meter, spitting out personal details no one could have known. The prison's cell blocks felt heavier, with apparitions appearing in barred windows. Locals said the heat wave woke the spirits, tying it to stories of inmates who died there decades ago. These accounts added a layer of mystery, making summer feel like open season for the dead. Things hit a fever pitch with a story from Mr. Nightmare's YouTube video. 3 very scary true summer night horror stories dropped in July. A solo camper in New Mexico described being stalked by a skinwalker under a full moon. It started as a deer watching from the trees, but its shape shifted. Legs elongating, eyes glowing, moving like a human, but wrong. The camper heard it mimic their own voice, calling their name from the dark. They hid in their tent, clutching a knife as it scratched the fabric, whispering secrets they'd never told anyone. The encounter ended at dawn, but the fear stuck, amplified by similar stories on X about creatures that shouldn't exist. The scariest moment came from a summer rental gone wrong, shared on RD.com's Ghost Story Roundup. A family renting a beach house in California noticed objects moving, cups sliding, doors slamming on humid nights. At first they blamed the wind, but then they heard whispers mimicking their dead grandmother's voice, calling from the basement. One night a mirror shattered, and a shadowy figure appeared in the shards, eyeless but watching. They fled, but the whispers followed, scratching inside their car as they drove away. Experts later said the house was built on an old cemetery, disturbed by recent floods, unleashing something that wanted company. They never returned. Survivors of these stories barely made it out. The New Mexico camper fled at first light, leaving their gear behind, and sought a shaman's cleansing for the skinwalker's curse. The California family moved states, but nightmares of the eyeless figure persisted, requiring therapy. Online communities rallied, sharing tips like carrying salt or avoiding certain trails. Some turned to exorcisms, others to relocation, but the trauma lingered. X-posts and podcast episodes like True Scary Story noted a spike in these escapes, with Survivors 3 warning others to steer clear of isolated spots in summer 2025, as if the heat itself was summoning these horrors. The aftermath of summer 2025's horrors is still unfolding. Reddit threads and X-posts warn of summer scaries persisting into fall, with users avoiding certain woods or historic sites. News reports tied increased paranormal activity to climate chaos, heat waves and floods stirring up old spirits in abandoned places. Survivors reported PTSD, some unable to camp or sleep without lights. I looked into these stories myself, and the patterns are chilling. Too many accounts match across states. Whatever's out there, it's not just ghosts or animals. It's something older, feeding on summer's energy, and it's still waiting. That's the roundup, guys. These stories are real, pulled from people just like you and me, and they've changed how I see summer. I still check my windows at night, wondering what's out there. If you've got a 2025 horror story, something you saw or felt, drop it in the comments. It helps knowing I'm not alone. If you like this video, smash that like button, share it with your friends, and subscribe for more true horror stories. I've got plenty more to tell, and they're just as chilling. Next time you're out in the woods or at a festival, keep your eyes open. Something might be watching. Stay spooky, stay safe, and I'll see you in the next one.